The Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society podcast.
Welcome to the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society, a podcast dedicated to suspense, crime, and horror stories from the golden age of radio. I'm Eric.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Joshua. We love mysterious old-time radio stories, but do they stand the test of time? That's what we're here to find out. Today we return to our listener library for a suggestion from you, our mysterious listeners. David writes, "Hey fellas, I know you're all Shadow fans. Have any of you heard the episode Out of This World from the Australian version of the series? It's written by my favorite writer, Alfred Bester."
In the late 1930s, the Australian government banned the importation of radio recordings in an effort to protect their own radio industry. The ban did not include scripts, though, allowing Australian radio producers to purchase stories from overseas and record them using local talent.
The Shadow first appeared on Australian airwaves in 1940. Little is known about the series, other than it reused scripts from the American series and was produced by radio station 4BC in Brisbane. According to Martin Graham's The Shadow, The History of Mystery of Radio program, this early version of The Shadow featured many of the same performers from the Australian adaptation of The Witch's Tale, also produced at 4BC Brisbane.
In 1946, Grace Gibson Productions debuted another iteration of The Shadow, once again utilizing scripts from the American production. This series ran from January 1946 to August 1951. The first 53 episodes featured Lloyd Lamble as Lamont Cranston and Lyndall Barber as Margot Lane. Robert Ashley took over the lead in episode 54, The Shadow Returns, and remained in the role until Out of This World, the final story of the series.
Out of This World was adapted from Alfred Bester's script Death is Just Around the Corner, originally aired in the United States January 21st, 1945. Bester wrote dozens of scripts for The Shadow, many of them recycled from superhero stories he penned for DC Comics. The Man Who Was Death reused elements from Bester's 1941 Batman story The Strange Case of Professor Radium, while The Man Who Wasn't There recycled his Starman story of the same name, originally written for a 1942 issue of Adventure Comics. In turn, Bester would later lift material from his 1949 Shadow script, The Man with No Face, for use in his Hugo Award-winning 1952 novel, The Demolished Man.
And now, let's listen to Out of This World from Grace Gibson's production of The Shadow, first broadcast in Australia August 30th, 1951.
It's late at night, and a chill has set in. You're alone, and the only voice you hear is coming from an antique radio. Listen to the sounds coming from the speaker. Listen to the music, and listen to the voices.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows. Once again, we bring you the thrilling adventures of The Shadow, the hard and relentless fight of one man against the forces of evil. These dramatizations are designed to demonstrate forcibly to old and young alike that crime does not pay. The Shadow, who aids the forces of law and order, is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man of our town. Several years ago in the Orient, Cranston learnt a strange and mysterious secret. The hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so that they cannot see him. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margot Lane, is the only person who knows to whom the voice of the invisible Shadow belongs. Today we feature the Shadow in an adventure out of this world. scene, Lamont Cranston fled.
Oh, it's all right. I hear you. I'm coming.
Commissioner Weston.
Good morning, Cranston.
Come in.
Thanks.
What are you doing here this hour of the morning?
I was investigating a case in this building. Just dropped in for some coffee.
All right, come into the kitchen.
Thanks, sir.
What case, Commissioner?
Well, it's a strange business, Cranston. There's been a wave of assassinations hit this city that's got me confused. I don't know where I stand.
Assassination? I haven't heard about any murders lately.
Well, we've been keeping them hushed up. We've found 5 men murdered in the last 2 weeks. Each murder looks exactly like suicide. Except for one thing.
What?
On the palm of each dead man, we found a curious mark. A circle with a small cross under it, in some kind of purple ink. Oh, by the way, do you know a Lester Smith on the 5th floor? He's the latest victim.
No, I don't. Circle and cross.
Where's the cup?
Oh, in the cupboard over there.
Oh, thanks. Almost been driving me to drink. And, where's the milk?
Just open the service door there. Those are morning papers are left outside.
Good. Hey, Cranston, what kind of paper do you subscribe to anyway?
The Globe? Why?
No, not the Globe, this other one. The one printed in purple ink on grey paper. I thought it was an advertising circular at first.
Don't believe it. Great paper. Here, let me have a look at that.
Yeah, it's lying underneath the Globe.
I've never subscribed to anything like this, Commissioner.
And I've never seen a paper like that before.
Seems to recall the rune.
Exactly. And do you notice the date on top of it? 33rd lustrum in the 9th sequence of the 6th epoch. What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. The turbitality enemy of Arch Ascension Master, been known as Fraser Blackburn, was yesterday aided to new life.
Is that English?
The kind of English. The kind futuristic writers claim our descendants will speak in a few centuries.
Well, if this isn't the weirdest thing I've ever come across.
A moment, Commissioner.
Huh?
Oh, good morning, my dear Mr. Cranston. Oh, good morning. Apparently you know my name.
Why, yes, Mr. Cranston. I like to know my neighbors. My name is Bland. I am very much afraid you have my morning paper there, Mr. Cranston.
Is this your paper? Look here, Mr. Bland, what's it all about? We're trying to make sense out of it.
It's really quite a simple matter. I happen to belong to a lodge. This is our news bulletin. We write in such odd fashion merely to be different.
Ah, okay. Well, here's your paper, Mr. Bland, only I don't see how anybody can understand it.
Oh, it makes a great deal of sense for those who know how to read it. Good morning, gentlemen.
Commissioner, did you happen to see inside his flat?
No, I was concentrating on the paper.
It was weird. From what I could see, the furniture and decorations were something definitely not of this world.
Now, Cranston,
I tell you, I caught a glimpse of photographs on the wall.
Hey, look out, the coffee's boiling.
And those photographs could not have been taken anywhere on this earth.
Now, forget about it, Cranston.
And you heard that music, didn't you? That weird, unearthly, inhuman music.
Oh, it's probably all something to do with his lodge, Cranston. Now, don't let your imagination run away with you. There's your phone. All right, probably the department. They know I'm here.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
Hello, this is Weston. What? Not again. All right, I'll be right over there. You want to exercise your imagination on something real, Cranston? Well, get your clothes on and come with me. There's just been another of those assassinations. Okay, this is it. Room 824.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Hello, Shaughnessy. Where's the body?
Right here, sir.
All right, let's have a look at it. Just like all the rest. Seems like a bona fide suicide, doesn't it?
Yes, it certainly does, Commissioner. Pistol in the right hand, wound in the right temple. Powder burns and everything.
Well, I'd believe it was suicide, O'Shaughnessy, if it wasn't for that mark on his palm. Yes. You see, Cranston?
Yes. A circle with a small red cross under it.
Commissioner, I was thinking. Perhaps all those other men and Mr. Blackburn here belong to a suicide club or something.
Wait a minute. What did you say his name was?
Blackburn. Fraser Blackburn.
Fraser Blackburn.
What's wrong with you?
Commissioner, don't you remember? In Bland's paper this morning?
Oh, that mumbo-jumbo rag? Well, what about it?
That item about Fraser Blackburn being aided to a new life.
Oh, yes, I say that's right.
This is something we've got to find out about, Commissioner.
No. Wait a minute, Cranston. Now, don't go off on a tangent. That item might have meant that Fraser Blackburn was promoted to a fancy wake in his lodge.
Perhaps it could, but then again, perhaps it meant murder.
But, Lamont, why the hurry?
I'm trying to beat Weston to the punch. I want to ask Bland a few questions before Weston sees him.
Why did you bring me back with you?
First, tell me what you think of my story, Margot.
It's too fantastic, Lamont. Commissioner Weston was right. You are going off into a tangent. There must be some rational explanation.
I hope so. And that's what I'm going to find out.
Well, how?
I want you to ring Bland's doorbell. When he opens the door, pretend you're looking for me.
But you'll be with me.
The shadow will be with you, Margot. I'll go into that flat with Bland. You go back to my place and wait for me.
Oh, all right, Lamont.
Well, this is it. Go ahead. Yes. What is it, please?
Oh, excuse me. Is Mr. Cranston here?
I'm very sorry. You had the wrong flat. Mr. Cranston lives next door.
Oh, thank you.
Not at all, my dear. Good morning. Very strange. I had not... Who's in here? Who laughed?
It is the shadow, Bland.
The shadow? Oh, yes, I've heard of you. They say no man can see you. Evidently, that is true. I've been expecting you.
What are you doing at that instrument panel?
You shall soon see, Shadow. We can discuss your visit while my machines operate.
Operate?
I must have data on you, my dear Shadow. I cannot permit your invisibility to handicap me. I must know with whom I am dealing.
No man knows the shadow.
But my machines will. And they will tell me. Listen.
Position of subject north 2509. Biometric. Height of subject. Third group. Weight in second. Calibration. Anatomic analysis shows unilateral development to the right. Variation in bone and muscle in proportion of 1 to 1.003.
Magnificent, Dave. In another 2 minutes, we'll have you indexed, x-rayed, and photographed.
Inspection subject human. Temperature Fahrenheit 78.6.
Exit the shadow.
Yes, it's perfectly true, Margot. When Bland's machine started operation, the shadow fled like a thief.
But why, Lamont?
Bland may have been bluffing or telling the truth. I don't know. But I can't risk the shadow's identity being known until I find out more about what we're fighting.
Oh, Lamont, I just can't believe all the fantastic things you're implying about Bland. They just can't be.
Perhaps, Margot, but then... Wait.
Mr. Cranston, greetings. May I enter, please?
Yes, come in, Bland. We were just talking about you.
How very odd. I was just talking about you, Mr. Cranston. I have very bad news for you and the young lady. Our chief is displeased with you.
What do you mean?
Our chief is quite angry. Jupiter, I have never heard him so angry. The young lady should never have brought the shadow into my house.
What's that?
We know you and the young lady, Miss Blaine, is it not? Are friends of the shadow. Analysis of our historical tabulators has shown you have invariably brought the shadow into cases in which you are involved.
Go on.
It was a serious mistake so far as we're concerned, Mr. Cranston. We don't like it.
Who are you?
I see no harm in telling you in view of what will shortly take place. Listen carefully, my friends, and try to understand. We are not of your world. Where we are from does not matter. We are not of your world. We look human. We play the role of humans, but we are not of your breed.
You sound like some kind of organization. How many are you?
Perhaps 3 million to date. Yes, we are an organization. A secret one, you might say, but we have discovered the best way to keep a secret is not to have one. We come out into the open, my friends. We live with you and work with you. While you ignore us with frank, smug innocence, we, who appear to be your friends, your brothers, your fellow men, are preparing to take your world away from you.
And those assassinations?
You deduce that from our paper, eh? Most unfortunate that it fell into your hands. Unfortunate for you. Yes. As the years pass, too many humans like you begin to ask embarrassing questions. Some we put off with reasonable explanations. Others, like yourself, must be answered more strictly. Like Fraser Blackburn.
And you're so sure of yourself that you're warning me.
Merely so that you will accept your fate gracefully, my friends. So that you will not put us to the bother of pursuing you. You are surrounded by us. You do not know which of your friends, your enemies, your acquaintances, your neighbors may be one of us. The chief is displeased and instructs me to end your curiosity. That means, as sure as this earth of yours will be ours, you will be dead in 1 hour.
We'll return to the shadow in just a moment. But first, your announcer with a message. And now, back to the shadow. Lamont and Margot have just come out of his apartment building. A taxi is cruising past, and Lamont calls, "Taxi? Hey, taxi, over here."
Lamont, why are you rushing out of your flat like this? I feel like a fugitive.
Get in, Margot. That's exactly what you are. 125 Park Road, driver. I'm taking you home right now.
You don't believe that fantastic story Bland told us?
I don't want to.
But you do. Oh, Lamont.
I've seen his flat, his fantastic scientific equipment. I'm confused, Margot. I don't know what to believe.
What are you going to do?
Fight.
Millions of men?
You may have been lying about that. I don't know. All I know is you don't have to fight an army. You'll fight its generals. If I can get Bland, we won't have to worry about his organization.
How are you going to do it?
The first thing is to get you home where you'll be safe. We'll work out a code signal so we can phone each other and be sure to whom we're talking. All right, people. Out you get. So soon? Hey, just a minute. You've made a mistake. There's no mistake. I said 125 Park Road. You've taken us to the middle of the park.
And it's starting to rain. I don't want to take a walk in this weather, driver.
This isn't any mistake, Mr. Cranston. Get out.
Lamont.
You mean you? That's right. The boss has ordered your execution. So get out. Both of you. You got 2 minutes to say goodbye. Don't try any tricks. I'm pretty quick with a gun.
Lamont, what are we going to do?
Take it easy, Margot. LC-09 to center.
Check. Go ahead.
Have Cranston and Lane.
Carry out operation.
Hey, did Bland instruct for Mark on pounds?
We'll check.
Well, Harry, I'm in the middle of the park. Won't be interrupted.
No instructions on Brand. Carry on.
Acknowledge. All right, people. Here's where you get it. The lady first. The gentleman first. All right. Pity you got too curious. That's a dangerous decision. Get out of the way, Margot. You'll never get away with it, you fool. I'll get away with a lot more before I finish. Drop that gun. Drop it.
Come on, watch out. There's a car coming.
Let me get just one punch and then...
Lamont.
Quick, Margot.
Lamont, he's been run down.
Quickly, let's get out of here. There may be more of Bland's people. Now run. Here's police headquarters now. We'll be safe inside here quickly. Wait a minute, This is much better.
Oh, I'll feel best of all in Commissioner Weston's office.
Mr. Cranston! Hey, Mr. Cranston!
Oh, Lamont.
I'm Halliday of the Globe. Don't you live in the building where they found that assassination case this morning?
Oh.
Well, what about it?
Oh, care to give us some information? Did you know the dead man? Ever visit him? Know anything about his family? How was he off financially?
Now, look here, Halliday. I'm busy right now. Can't just wait until later.
Oh, give me a break, Mr. Cranston. You know me from way back. I've got to get some information on this case.
Later, I tell you. Come on, Margot. Margot! Margot!
Honey, she just vanished in the crowd.
It was a trap. You arranged this, you and Bland.
Mr. Cranston, what's the matter?
I've known you for years, and you turn out to be one of them. Go back to Bland. Tell him I'll find Margot, and I'll find him, too. Margot! 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 Hey, what in blazes do you... Oh, it's you, Cranston. Has Margot been in here? Miss Lane? No. What's up, Cranston? Bland's got hold of her. Bland? You mean that hocus-pocus character? He's something a lot worse than that. Come along, Commissioner. We've got to get to his flat. Cranston, now, for the love of heaven, wait a minute. There's a chance Margot may be there. Cranston, please don't rush me this way. What on earth has got you so excited? Nothing much. Nothing but kidnapping, mass murder, invasion, death, and destruction. Hardly anything at all. Come along, Commissioner. I'll explain on the way to Bland's. Cranston, this is simply fantastic. Am I supposed to believe your story? Why not? No one really knows what goes on in the world around them. They think they do. They make assumptions. Just because a house looks like a house, they believe ordinary people live in it. But how do they know for sure? Well, here's Bland's flat. Inside quickly. The door's open. Oh, I don't like this. No, neither do I. Hey. This place has been stripped bare. Yeah. Just an empty flat. Bland flown the coop. I was afraid of this. I tell you honestly, Cranston, I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. All right. Come along, Commissioner. Where to? We've got one last chance of locating Margot and Bland. They're probably at their headquarters. Well, how do we know that? What's your idea? We'll pick up that taxi driver's cab, the one who attacked us in the park. All right, then what? I start driving it across town and try and contact their headquarters in the car radio. But how's that going to help? If I can keep the taxi and the dialogue going long enough, your police radio direction finders may be able to get a line on the source of their broadcast. It's a long chance, but it's the only way to find Margot. If she's still alive. All right, Cranston, I've got you a police escort. I'm going to let this cab fly out, rain and all. Direction finders ready? Yep. Go ahead with the radio. Pray for me. I'm too busy worrying about my own skin. These streets are like glass. Here's the 09 reporting.
Continue.
Reporting on death of Cranston and Lane.
Report 1 hour late. Explanation.
Cranston put up a fight.
Continue.
I got them both.
1 moment. Kelsey 09 reported killed in car accident 1 hour ago. Explanation.
That's impossible.
Margot Lane reported brought to headquarters half an hour ago. Explanation.
I tell you, you've made some...
Clever, Mr. Cranston, but not quite clear enough.
Bland.
You'll be interested to know we're going to use Miss Lane as a bargaining point for the shadow, since she seems to know that elusive person.
Bland, listen to me.
You'll also be interested to know you've forced us out into the open, Mr. Cranston. Your rash interference has precipitated our attack. It will begin very shortly. I am happy to say you will be one of the first victims of your breed.
Switched off. Do you think the direction people had enough time, Commissioner? I'll stop the car. We'll find out from the direction patrol. They're right behind us. Come on. Well, how about this, Shaughnessy? Any luck?
Yes, sir. We've heard just enough to make a location, Commissioner. The broadcast seemed to come from a spot on the coast. The old Venus Island Carnival.
Venus Island Carnival. Come along, Commissioner. This looks like it. Cranston! Hey, Cranston! Over here! Where? Oh. Well, did you find anything? No, not yet. You know, this storm's getting worse. It's exposed out here. An empty summer carnival doesn't offer too much cover. Wait, Commissioner. Well, let's stop this wild goose chase. The directions squad must have miscalculated. Yet I didn't order the special riot detachment down here. It's not a wild goose chase. You'd better get to a phone and call your patrol cars. What do you mean? Look down towards the shore. That old freak exhibit. The men from Venus. You see it? Yes. And that mark on the sign, it's a circle with a cross under it. Yes. That's the astrological symbol of the planet Venus.
It's the mark we found on the palms of those dead men.
Send out that call for your cows, Commissioner. This is what we're looking for. You can see fresh tracks in the muddy ground leading into the place.
All right, you wait here, Cranston. I'll be back in about 5 minutes.
I'm afraid I can't, Commissioner. Because in 1 minute, Mr. Bland and Company is going to receive a visit from the Shadow. Yes, Miss Lane. That room is our headquarters. The nerve center of our organization. This room we're in now is our brain.
Please, Mr. Bland.
Oh, it will interest you, I'm sure. Over here are our files, the records of our members, their names, addresses, and achievements.
And those switchboards?
They are our communication trunks. All over your world, our members are calling in, reporting, receiving new orders, instructions. Second by second, our work goes on in its minute detail, and second by second, the end of your world draws closer, closer, closer.
I don't believe it. I won't.
That does not matter. It is a fact. It will be.
I don't believe you say what you are. From another world, you're silent criminals masquerading as aliens.
And what if we are, Miss Lane? What is the difference? You will lose your Earth, and we shall gain it. Who's that?
We've met before,
A
Bland.
shadow.
Yes, my friend. It is the Shadow, laughing at you. Laughing at the insane grandeur of your plans that will come to nothing.
A shadow in here? Impossible.
The Shadow is here, Bland. There is no secret that can be kept safe from the Shadow.
No, this is impossible.
Deep underground in this hideaway, under tons of sand with the naked sea pounding against the walls of your cabin, you've hoped to bury your secret trade of murder. But the Shadow has ferreted you out, Bland. The Shadow, no.
It won't help you. It won't help your breathe.
You're trapped, Bland. Listen. Faintly you can hear the scream of police sirens surrounding the entrance to this place. In minutes they will descend to wring you out like a sponge, every secret, every name, every plan.
The police? No!
Don't move, Bland.
I have moved as far as I need. You see this switch, Shadow? Look well with your invisible eyes. There are explosives set in the outer walls that keep back the sea. When those walls are broken, the sea will come in here. You will learn nothing from us, nothing.
You would murder all those people or beings in the other room?
Why not? They are merely pawns. I have my own way out of here. And once I am out, I can build another organization.
Get away from that switchboard.
Too late. I have thrown the switch. Listen. There go the charges in the outer walls. The sea will be in here soon.
Oh.
Quick, Margot. Out. Take my hand.
Yes.
Run, Margot, run.
You have won for the moment, Shadow. But it is only a delay. We will be back.
How you ever got out of that place with Miss Lane is a miracle to me, Cranston.
No, not a miracle, Commissioner, but certainly a close call.
And you say everything down there was destroyed?
Yes. Equipment, records, all those people. Everything is lost in the morass of sand 100 feet beneath the ocean.
Everything but Bland. He said he had a way out.
That's all right. We've got men posted all along the beach.
Commissioner, look! Over there's someone running.
It's Bland.
He did get out. Stop him! As soon as he gets him in, after him. He's down. Come on. This way. Come on. Go ahead.
That's the end of Bland. No matter what he was, he died like a man.
But Lamont, which was he? A man or what he claimed?
Margot, I really don't know. We have no way of disproving anything he said.
But if he was telling the truth, there are many more like him still on Earth.
It doesn't matter. Without leadership, they'll collapse. Just a little vigilance will be enough to keep them in check. But we've got to be vigilant. We've got to walk with care, act with caution. Death may lurk just around the corner for us, and we'll never know.
In a moment, I'll return with further news of the Shadow. But first, your announcer. You have been listening to the thrilling adventures of the Shadow, one man's relentless fight against the forces of evil.
this feature was devised to demonstrate to old and young alike that crime does not pay.
As you sow evil, so shall you reap evil. Crime does not pay. The shadow knows.
The Shadow was produced by Reg Johnston of Grace Gibson Radio Productions, a masterpiece of suspense.
That was The Shadow and the episode Out of This World here on the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society podcast. Once again, I'm Eric.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Joshua.
And that, as we said in our opening, comes from the Australian version of The Shadow, originally broadcast in Australia in 1951. Also a listener request from David, who wrote to us and wanted us to do this particular episode that was written by Alfred Bester, who Joshua found out in his research did a lot of work for DC Comics.
A lot of stuff. And from what I read, he created a number of really big DC villains, at least. Vandal Savage, if you're a DC fan, you know who that is. Solomon Grundy. I read that he originated the Green Lantern's oath.
Wow.
When he recharges his ring. This is some big deal stuff here.
Watching Tim, when you're saying this stuff, is like 8-year-old on Christmas morning over there.
Man.
Yeah, I know who Solomon Grundy is from that song, Saving the World from Solomon Grundy. You don't know that song? Superman never had any...
Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason I know that name. I was a Marvel kid.
Oh, Tim's face did not light up like an 8-year-old when you said that.
Anyway, wow, there's a lot to talk about. A really interesting fact that you brought into this in the opening that I did not know. Am I to understand that this was the last episode broadcast of The Shadow in Australia?
According to what I read in Martin Graham's Big Shadow book, this is the very last episode.
That will help me a lot and change some opinion I had.
I don't know that it was selected specifically as the last episode.
Well, it certainly should be, because they have introduced into the universe of The Shadow the possibility of alien life, which changes everything.
But keep in mind, this is adapted from a script that was just plunked in the middle of the American Shadow run.
They did this in...
Yes, this is just... They retitled it. It's originally was called Death is Just Around the Corner or something like that.
It's a terrible idea.
They leave an out.
It
has in one of my most favorite lines where Margot is like, "Oh, do you really think it's aliens or is it criminals?" And the Shadow says something along the line like, "It doesn't matter, really. Both are the same." Like, no, it does matter. There's aliens, and then there are human criminals.
Plus, you're not putting my mind at ease by telling me, well, they no longer have a leader, so they're all good.
We're just down to 299.
It's a terrible choice to introduce the possibility of alien life into the Shadow universe. It affects everything. Just the possibility that they're not sure affects everything. And now they've got to approach everything differently, because now they have this lingering thought in their head, oh my God, millions of aliens might be on this planet. Now that becomes the story for their whole life. They're going to go crazy. They're going to lose their minds. That's a whole different direction to take this. That's a terrible idea.
But that's classic Shadow, where they forget about it after the next episode.
Well, what was the thing he said? What do we do now? And this is
Be
a paraphrase.
vigilant.
I'm going to paraphrase it. Just live in horrible paranoia. But yeah, he basically says, we'll never know. And
if they're Skrulls or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you could know. They shot him. They could do an autopsy, a classic alien autopsy, and find out whether he's human or not.
He's not comforting at the end of this. Like, I was really hoping for a classic Shadow ending where they were a crime syndicate pretending on this Venus Carnival Island.
They provided that for people like you who could just take that and curl up in their bed and feel okay about it.
You can't introduce that concept into this universe because it becomes a whole new story.
It's the possibility of a concept.
Still, that possibility, if we had that possibility, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. We'd be freaking out.
What's the difference between this and some of the crazy mad scientist stuff that a lot of
because they're not from another planet.
All right. The gibbering things are way more disturbing than weird.
But those were created by a guy in a laboratory, and then they killed them all, and they killed the guy, so we don't have to worry about him anymore.
Fair enough.
There's 3 million people still on the planet, possibly, that are aliens.
Are you scared of aliens? You seem really upset.
I'm just saying, if that was in the back of your head, everything you do would be affected from there on out. Lamont, this guy needs to be released from this prison, and he's wrongfully. What does it matter? What are we doing?
I can follow that. From then on, every cab you hail is could be an alien.
Right. Like you just curl up into a ball and you'd freak out. You'd become Robert Persig in the corner, just curled up in a ball. It's Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance. Anyway, the point is, you wouldn't be able to function. But if this was the last episode, I love it. What I'm saying is, that's a great way to end it. How did the Shadow series end? Well, turns out aliens were probably inhabiting the planet, and he hung up his shadow cleats. He just decided, what's the point? The universe is gigantic. All my work is nonsense. I can turn invisible, so what?
I like you're reading this entire existential crisis.
It would be, though.
I think in Eric's version, Lamont Cranston just shoots himself at the end of this. He just gives up.
What do you want?
Margot finds him hanging in his room.
But you would. You'd be like, oh, my God, what is the point?
Let's talk about the rest of it. Let's accept this storyline. Because, that's part of why David suggested this, because this is an outlier for The Shadow. This is pretty hardcore science fiction for The Shadow.
But we did discover that at the same time frame in Australia that was going on in America, there was an obsession with milk. What's with the milk? You got any milk? Yeah, I got some milk.
Yeah.
Go get some milk.
I really like that scene where Weston just shows up and putzes around his kitchen and makes himself coffee and goes through his mail, apparently.
It's funny to listen to The Shadow and to hear all these different voices and the accents. So there was some acclamation.
Lamont Cranston's flat. And I was like, that's it, I'm out.
Thank God that the alien moved in next door to him to make things so much easier for him to solve this crime.
There's 3 million. The odds are pretty good. Did either of you guys recognize the symbol of circle with a cross under it as being Venus?
No.
Yes.
It jumped out at me almost to the point of do they mean my palm was a lady?
Yeah. Then I went, oh, aliens, Venus, yes.
Yeah, I didn't catch any of that. Nope. I just went, oh, why does he have his neighbor's purple newspaper?
Well, part of me wondered, I happen to know that David, who recommended this, works for the Postal Service, and I thought perhaps he was attracted to this story because it all gets kicked off by faulty mail delivery.
Well, did I hear right that it was purple ink on gray crepe paper?
I didn't catch that.
It was, I think, gray ink on purple paper or something. It was gray and purple were the two colors.
And then when I was asking, do you subscribe to this? And the Cranston was like, I would never subscribe to that.
With a
garish crap.
Look at the color of that. No. Black and white for me. I do like the serial killer take at the top. I was like, oh, there's a serial killer who's marking his victims with the symbol, and we're going to figure this thing out. So now I'm in. And then the neighbor comes over, and it sucks because when you don't introduce a lot of things, you automatically know the neighbor's the guy. There's not any time to introduce anything else.
Open the door to that strange music.
Yeah.
Like a cat having a stroke in there.
To me, my aha moment was after I listened to it once and then read about Alfred Bester and his comic book writing history. I was like, this has those big, bold strokes and story shortcuts of a 1940s comic book where, one panel they're in Lamont's flat. The next panel they're barging in, and I can see like the 1940s illustrations of this futuristic pad that Bland has with all the
photographs of places that aren't on Earth.
In frames. Holding hands with something with 4 eyes.
It's really awesome in that way, in that it is not what I expect out of The Shadow, but a lot happens in it. Car chases, there's evil Australian Shrevey.
Yeah, well, I wrote that down. Is that Shrevey?
Yeah, there's like an abandoned carnival hideout. There's a comic book element for you at the end. And it really seems to move from event to event a little faster than some of the Shadows that I'm used to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hokey as hell, don't get me wrong, but I'm fascinated by putting together this writer's background with what this end result is, and maybe I'm reading too much into it.
No, it's and the idea of like, well, let's get the police to use their radio direction finder.
That is totally out of a Batman comic book.
Do the Australian police have a radio direction finder?
But going back, we talked last week about The Shadow and Orson Welles' Shadow in the beginning, years of it, having those moments of being infallible and heroic and sometimes being actually scared or powerless in some situations, and how they went back and forth. I think it was really interesting that this Shadow has moments where he says, damn.
Yeah, no, he runs the gamut of emotions, and I really enjoyed that. Once I acclimated, like you said, to his performance. But then once Margot gets kidnapped and he's paranoid that anyone and everyone could be a Venusian.
Which goes back to my original point.
Then he's freaking out.
The commissioner has a great moment where he gets the phone call, by the way, in the Shadow's apartment. So they knew you were there. Like, call me at the Shadow's house.
Yeah, you're like, are they having an affair?
So you left his number. I'll be over here going through his mail.
Yeah, so crime scene 2 floors up. So.
Right. So they call him there, which is all weird enough as it is. But when he gets the news there's been another murder, he's so put out and annoyed by it.
I just found the milk.
As if I didn't have enough to do. All right.
There's another funny moment when Bland's scientific equipment is able to detect the Shadow, and the Shadow just runs. It's just like, crap.
Right.
Stupid joy for me when the little computer is going through all the details and mentions that he is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. That's really cold. The episode is continuing, but I'm thinking, like, does he alter his body's temperature to enhance his invisibility so he's not emitting a warm spot?
That's giving it way too much credit, I think.
I enjoyed it.
Yes.
But maybe that's the internal temperature of Australians. Oh. Let me Google that.
You know, the water goes down the drain wrong.
Yeah,
Body
and don't Google inside Australians.
Speaking of the computer that knew everything, what's the point of the computer having different voices? 6 different voices churning.
A lot of kids in the high school, they all need parts.
And they're just showing off their technology. It's like,
how many series do you need?
Yeah. And if this is a criminal secret society, it is the worst secret society ever. Where it's just like, let's just throw open your door and play your weird music.
Yeah, and what was the plan? To kill people one at a time?
Who found out that they were there, which is much of a plan, but we never know.
Okay, well,
it's more of a reaction.
But apparently, we're going to start with infiltrating 3 million of us into the population. Then
we become complacent.
When we're roughly 0.5% of the world.
Right. You've already won. Because in 1945, there was only 5 million.
We don't know much, do we? We know old-time radio, and that's it.
But it's true, though, what Tim said. You got a great start. Now what are you doing?
Nothing.
I mean, unless it's like 3 million of the poorest, most uninfluential people in the world.
I just, in general, had a lot of struggles with this. Forget that it's different actors, because I actually ended up warming up to them and got used to it. So it's not that. I understand that they didn't write this story, that it was taken from an American version, so you can't say, oh, you don't even know how to write. I just don't.
Stupid Australians.
Right. It's just, in general, I don't like this plot. It has a lot of holes. It doesn't have any context. There's no purpose behind anything that's going on. I really struggled with the story itself.
The only time I really had a hard time with the accent and I had to back up is after the cab driver turns on Margot and Lamont, and Lamont is grappling with the gun. I swear the first time I heard it that Margot said, "Lamont, look out for that cow." And I had to go back to hear, oh, it's car with an Australian accent. But at first I imagined this huge Australian cow.
Just barely on the street, running people over in a car.
Marsupial call.
The other moment that made me just laugh is when Bland is shot dead trying to escape. So presumably he's running away, and presumably the police shoot him in the back. And then Lamont says, no matter what he was, he died like a man. No, he didn't.
It's a weird...
Screaming and running away.
That's a weird moment, too. It's all wrapping up. Well, he said he had an escape route, and he's probably out there. So you think, yes, we're leaving this open to possibly future running.
No, there he is. Shoot him.
It's like they're writing away. Wait, no. This is the last one. And we can't have the alien leadership running around the planet because that will screw up the entire Shadow universe. So shoot him. You can't introduce aliens into the Shadow universe.
So there probably maybe was implied a scene where all the other aliens get the news and let's
go
just
home.
Acclimate.
Acclimate.
Get jobs and try to fit in.
Right. All right, let's vote. Unless someone's
Classic.
got... Joshua, you start, Shadow fan.
I mean, this does not stand the test of time, but this is fun and it is of historical interest for sure. And I think that's the spirit in which David presented it. It's bizarre. But you know me. I much prefer this over a really dull, run-of-the-mill, the Shadow fighting a mobster. As ridiculous as it is, you never know what the hell's going to happen in each scene, which doesn't make it a classic or even stand the test of time, but really fun to listen to.
I would put that same thing. It is a sort of old style of sci-fi / comic book adventure applied to pulp hero, and they don't necessarily fit together well, but it is so much fun to see that salad being thrown into the air.
That's right.
In some ways, it reminds me, it's paced like a comic book or even a Doctor Who series episode. Or just,
well, back off.
I knew it. I was
is this
bridge too far.
Is this what Doctor Who is like?
Yes.
Well, the rationale of there's 3 million of us, but if we just kill the leader, it'll be fine. That struck me as kind of
It is that old school science fiction thing. It's hand wavy.
Yeah, they want to make the stakes impossibly high and yet reasonably solvable.
Yeah.
It doesn't stand the test of time from a story standpoint. Definitely not a classic. I will say it's of huge historical significance. Everything that we
aliens.
Everything that we said in the top, where learning about how Australia was put a ban on radio broadcasts being imported and how they got around that Bester wrote this. Mm-hmm. There's a lot in here that's super interesting to learn and know. Sometimes we get caught up and don't realize that radio drama wasn't just here during its heyday. It was all over the world. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I really enjoyed learning about. Having listened to it, I was glad to listen to it. But as a story itself, as you probably would have guessed, I just am mad at it.
I knew it too. Eric's just going to hate this.
I just did not. I was so mad at it the entire time. So that's what I think. But I will say learning all that was extremely worth it. And I am going to go listen to more Australian Shadows. I want to hear some more before I go, well, they got it wrong. All right. Tim, tell them stuff.
Please go visit ghoulishdelights.com. That is the home of this podcast and all the other episodes that we found there. You can, from there, contact us. We have a little contact page. You can comment on episodes. You can also reach out to us through our social media links, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can also find there information about our live shows. If you're in the Twin Cities area, you can come see us do live versions of classical radio scripts.
Yeah, and go to iTunes and write us a review. Please, we love reviews. Also, you can support us on patreon.com/themorals. David, who recommended this, is a Patreon supporter, and we appreciate that.
I feel terrible.
I just said that to make Eric feel bad.
Yeah, I loved it. It's a really good script.
Yes, we have all sorts of great rewards on that Patreon page. Buttons, membership cards, this monthly secret podcast. So please consider supporting us.
Why do you think they kept Area 51 a secret from us? Do you realize if we knew what would happen, we would all stop functioning? It would be over.
I'm going to edit this out.
All right, coming up next is The Mysterious Traveler.
Yes, in an episode called The Haunted Trailer. Until then...
Look out! Position of subject north 2509. Biometric. Height of subject. Third group. Weight in second. Calibrations. Anatomic analysis shows unilateral development to the right.
Hold the phone.